Rev up your engines!
Well, some of the new Malibus are so poorly made that GM is offering buybacks. It turns out that they didn't weld the front of the vehicles right on some of them. These are 2022 to 2023 Chevy Malibus. If you have the misfortune of buying one, obviously you didn't listen to me because I said don't buy a GM product, especially those Malibus. They're terrible, right? They might not have welded them right, so GM's going to buy the vehicles back if the weld's not welded right. As GM says, and I quote, owners can take their cars back to a dealer for inspection. If an incomplete weld is found, GM will offer to repurchase the vehicle. No mention on how much money they're going to give you for it. Like I say, GM's quality is garbage. They're making cars that are not even welded together right. And then old Mary Barr says, oh, yes, we're going to be the big car. We're going to make billions of dollars in the next 5 years with software and blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe they should turn into a software company instead of a car manufacturing company. They can't even weld the things together correctly. And these are brand new ones. Imagine if they happen to the ones that they built that they don't recall that are half-acidly built, and then they break later, and they'll just say, oh, well, you hit a pothole. You wrecked the car. It's not our fault. We didn't weld it right. It goes on and on. The people at the top talk about how great it is, and the people at the bottom realize, man, these things are made like junk. I had a friend who worked for Chrysler ages ago when Lee Iacocca was ahead, and he brought in those ugly K cars, and everybody said, Lee Iacocca, what a genius. He turned Chrysler around. Well, our friend worked in a factory. What did he say? He said, they're making us like slaves, work harder, faster, make the cars quicker. The quality's absolute garbage. This is the guy who's actually building them, right? He spent years doing it. Said the quality went down, and they're just berating us to work faster and faster and faster so they can make more cars to sell, but the quality's... Now, if you ever owned a K car, I'm sure you would agree entirely. They were horrible pieces of junk. Not only were they ugly, they were poorly made. Anybody who thinks GM is turning it around is out of their minds. Their quality's garbage. They have this idea of, oh, we're going to electrify cars. And then they just came out with a new Corvette that starts at $104,000. Yeah, they're real in touch with most people, right? Regular people want a regular car. They're really in touch. BH42 says, I want an honest opinion on a Jeep 3.6 V6. I have a 2019 Jeep GC 3.6 V6. We leased it 3 years ago, and it has 37,000 miles on it. I can buy it for $19K or turn it in. What's your opinion on the long-term reliability of the engine? It's the V6. It's not a horrible engine. They kept modifying it, and they're much better than the original ones were. It's a Jeep. But it's only got 37,000 miles on it, and you leased it 3 years ago. So if you're only putting, 13,000 miles a year on the car, it's still got quite a bit of life in it. If you can buy it for $19K, I'd say, what the heck, because it's a Jeep. I am not a big fan of the modern ones. The V6 isn't all that bad. But if you do get tired of it, someone will always buy it. Because people have this thing about Jeeps, like Harley Davidson, it's an American icon. You could always sell it on later. And with only 37,000 miles, the ones I see, they don't fall apart till they get 100,000 miles or something or more on it. You don't have an Italian diesel engine in it, which is garbage. You've got an American engine in it, and they're decent. With that kind of mileage on it, what the heck? The way prices are today, you could sell it for more money than you're paying for it anyways. I mean, even if you're not thinking, keeping it long, buy it. You could sell it, probably make a little bit of money. Danny504 says, I'm thinking about buying a salvage title car. I have between 12 to 15 grand to spend. I see a lot of cars with restored salvage titles. Should I buy one? How can I tell what's wrong? Well, that's the problem. It's potluck. That's why I tell most people not to buy one of those. Insurance companies will only total a car if it's got more damage than the vehicle's worth. So it's usually a pretty serious thing that it's been involved in. Now, on the other hand, I've had customers get excellent cars that way because there were shady deals going on. Somebody didn't want a car, so however it came about, bribery, I don't know, the cars were totaled by an insurance company saying stuff like frame was bent and stuff, but the frame actually wasn't bent, but the people didn't want the car anymore. So somehow they got it salvaged, and they got their money and they left, and then the car was sold after. I've seen people do that and get some excellent vehicles. You really have to know cars then, inside and out. There's so many reasons they can be restored and rebuilt titles make your head spin. And rebuilt doesn't mean there was a rigorous thing where it was all rebuilt. It's a bunch of crap. It's just somebody said they fixed it, and that there's no inspection in the United States or anything for things like that. So I'd stay away unless you're real pro about it and somebody has pictures of before and after. Like maybe it was hail damage and it was all dinged up. Well, if they fixed all the damage, what do you care? Hail doesn't bother the engine or transmission. But generally, I'd say stay away from those things. G. Wyman says, got a bad engine in a Mazda. I got a 2018 Mazda CX-9 Touring, 77,000 miles. The dealer says the engine's trashed and went $11,000. Something about a problem with the engine block and heads being damaged due to the heat from the turbocharger. So now I'm stuck with a useless car. This is our second CX-9 and both have been problematic. I thought Mazdas were better cars. Thanks. Tell everybody about this. Okay, yeah, they generally are somewhat better made, but I do have to say, this is your second CX-9. The first one was problematic. Why did you buy a second one? That's what I always tell people. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I would have never bought the second one if I would have had a problem with the first one. That's the way you should be, because everybody promises, oh yes, they're better now, the new ones are better. They always say the new ones are better, and sometimes they're even worse. And in your case, you got 77K and the engine blew up. That's unacceptable. And they're saying, well, there's a problem with the turbocharger, though. Well, they built the car. It's their problem, and they're not giving you any kind of warranty on the thing. They said they want 11 grand to fix it. If I were you, I'd never buy another one. If I were you, I would try to find one in a junkyard, a used engine from a wreck, have someone install it, and then sell the stupid car. That's the only possible positive thing you can do. Rebuilding it would cost too much. I would say just get a used engine, put it in, and then sell the stupid thing. And don't buy another one. You've had a bad experience. I've learned if I got a bad experience, I'm not going to buy another one. I had a customer that got a bad Ford in the 1970s. He still won't buy Fords because he's so peeved that he bought that thing and it was unlimited. It actually started on fire in a parking lot in Houston and burnt down, and he was happy. He got his insurance money. He said, I'll never buy another Ford, and he did. So if you do get stung, don't get stung a second time. But if you can find a used engine, put it in and sell the stupid thing. Well, people are always suing old Elon Musk and Tesla. Well, now that one suit is in court, some interesting information's coming out. It turns out that in 2016, when they had this video of Tesla's self-driving system, right, that they faked quite a bit of it. Even back then, they had a video of a Model X driving around town, right? Looked like it's driving itself. This guy, Ashtok, who was the head of their software, self-driving, right? He's in court now, and he's got to explain what actually was behind the video. And he said Tesla used a predetermined 3D map of the area that they put in the computer's memory, and that Tesla had to run the course a few times before it did a good job, and that the test drivers also intervened various times during the test, which they didn't show on the video, of course. Here's what he says in defense of it. The intent of this 2016 video was not to accurately portray what's available for customers in 2016, but to portray what was possible to build into the system. Well, I'm sure the beginning of the video didn't say this is a fantasy created by Pixar of a self-driving car. They were pretending that that's what it was. Just like those guys with those electric trucks, the other company where they pushed it down a hill. Don't believe what you see these days. Anything can be easily manipulated, right? And in this case, they manipulated the video to make it look like it was doing better than it is, and now it's in court, and the guy's still trying to defend himself. Well, we didn't mean to portray this as, yeah, they sure did mean to portray driving itself, right? But, oh no, this is what could happen in the future. They should have had a very thing in the beginning saying, this is not real, this is a portrait of what the future might be. It's actually science fiction. It's in court, so now all the legalese will come up, but I think it's funny that they faked it. It's the thing about videos, you can fake anything in a video. Don't believe what you see in a video, especially today. Back in 2016, they weren't as good as faking as they are today. With CGI, you can make anybody do anything. And then when they go to court, well, this was futuristic considerations. This wasn't actually what we were showing you. Yeah, well, it sure looked like it was. Watch the video. Now, here's a guy with brass balls. A Canadian guy is driving a three-wheeler, not known for the biggest safety, that's why they're four-wheelers now, they tip over, across Canada. He's trying to break a Guinness World Book of Records and go a whole way across Canada on a three-wheeler. And he's obeying the law. We all know the Canadians, they want to obey the law, right? And he can't drive it on roads, it's against the law. He can only drive it on ditches and dirt roads. So he's taking the long way between British Columbia and the east coast of Canada. But one of his friends died and he wanted to do something in his honor, so he bought a three-wheeler for $500, put a little trailer on it, check it out. And he's driving across Canada in the winter. Now, I gotta say, this guy's got balls. There's no arguing that. And he's going across Canada hoping that the nice Canadians will help him out, being a fellow Canadian. Some of them let him stay in their house. They're feeding him food. Kind of interesting. Kind of like a Forrest Gump thing going on here. So here he is on a little 200cc trike three-wheeler driving across Canada in the winter. Well, I guess the world isn't full of wimps. This guy looks like he's pretty tough. Let's hope he makes it the whole way to the east coast of Canada. I'll be following him. He's got a cause for down bikers, Canadians that were injured when their motorcycles crashed down. Hey, see if he makes it the whole way across. Hey, if he stops by in Tennessee on the way back, I'll buy him dinner. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.